Okay, so tonight, we are diving deep into the glove guy.
Ah, yes, the glove guy.
I guess, first, like, what is the glove guy? For anybody who doesn't know.
Well, I guess we can start with just imagine, you've been out in Halifax.
Right.
It's late at night and, maybe had a couple drinks.
You need a ride home.
You need a ride home. You see a car, you think it's a cab.
Yeah.
You get in, and the driver, it turns out, is not so interested in taking you home.
Oh,
He's more interested in showing you his wares, which are leather gloves.
leather glove.
Leather gloves, and insisting that you try these leather gloves on.
And this is like a known thing in Halifax.
This is a known thing in Halifax,
Yeah.
and it's been a known thing for a while.
Like, how did we even find out about this?
It's interesting how this one came to light. It was through a Reddit post.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so somebody posted on Reddit about their experience, and they were very much like, oh my God, you guys will not believe what happened to me last night.
And they got in the car thinking it was a cab.
Yeah. They got in the car thinking it was a cab, and then the driver starts, pressuring them to try on these gloves.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is so many people started commenting on the post saying, oh my God, this happened to me too.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So it seemed like it wasn't just like a one-off weird thing that happened.
Right.
It seemed like this guy was doing this fairly regularly.
So let's go back to that Reddit post then.
Yeah.
Like, what exactly did that person say happened?
Well, he said that the driver, he got into the car. He thought it was a cab.
Right.
The driver was well-dressed and, seemed normal,
Yeah.
driving a nice car. But then he very quickly started pushing his business, quote unquote, which was selling leather gloves.
Oh, so he wasn't even like offering a ride. He was like, hey, get in my car. I'm selling gloves.
Well, no, he picked him up thinking he was a cab, but then that's when the gloves came out.
Oh, okay.
So, and it wasn't just like a casual, hey, you want to buy some gloves? It was like this real insistence that he tried them on.
Huh.
Even when it was clear that they didn't fit her.
So it was more about like you trying on the gloves than him selling you the gloves.
Yeah, it seemed like the focus was really on the gloves and the passenger like trying them on, feeling the leather. It was all very strange.
I'd be a little freaked out too. Especially if I'm just trying to get home.
This guy was so freaked out that when he got dropped off, he actually like hid in his neighbor's yard
Really? Oh my God.
just to make sure that he wasn't being followed or anything.
Okay, so that is unsettling. Like, it just seems like one of those things where it starts out and you're like, oh, this is kind of weird and quirky.
Right.
But then the longer it goes on, you're like,
Huh.
oh no, this is actually scary.
Yeah, it's like that moment when you realize, oh, this is not what I thought it was, and now I'm in a situation that I need to get out of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So is this Reddit guy the only person this happened to?
No, not at all. That's the thing about this story. It's like once that Reddit post went up, all these other people came out of the woodwork.
Really?
Yeah. And we actually heard from another guy, we're calling him the out-of-towner, and he was visiting Halifax from New Brunswick.
So he had no idea about any of this?
No, he had never heard of the glove guy before.
Okay.
And he had almost the exact same experience. He was offered a ride, presented with gloves, pressured to try them on,
Wow.
the whole thing. And in his case, the glove guy actually smelled the gloves.
He smelled them.
Yeah, smelled the leather before he offered them.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, it's a very specific detail that just kind of adds to the whole strangeness of the encounter.
Yeah, that's like next level.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is when this guy told his friends about it,
Yeah.
who were from Halifax, they were like, oh yeah, that's the glove guy.
So he's like infamous.
Yeah, it's like he's this local legend that everyone knows about, but no one really talks about openly.
So like an urban legend almost.
Exactly. It's like he's this weird part of the fabric of the city.
So we've got the Reddit guy. We've got the out-of-towner. Did anybody else reach out to you with a similar story?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And some of them get even weirder. Like there's the story of this DJ. Yeah, a local DJ. And he already knew about the glove guy.
Okay, so he knew what he was getting into.
Yeah, he went into the situation knowing what to expect, which is interesting because it gives us a different perspective.
Yeah?
So he gets in the car and immediately recognizes the pattern. The guy starts talking about his business. The gloves come out.
Uh-huh.
And the DJ is playing along, but inside he's freaking out.
Yeah, I bet.
But then things start to get a little more intense. The glove guy starts driving in the wrong direction.
Oh, no.
Then he offers the DJ a Coke.
Oh, that's never good.
Right. But this Coke, it was like a weird color.
What do you mean?
Like it wasn't the normal brown color.
Okay, that's suspicious.
Yeah, the DJ was immediately like, is this a roofie? And the glove guy's like, no, of course not. And he takes a big gulp of it himself to prove it.
Okay, well, that doesn't prove anything.
Yeah, but it just adds to the whole bizarre atmosphere.
Yeah, so the DJ is trapped in a car with this guy.
Yeah.
He's drinking a weird-colored Coke. What happens next?
Well, then the glove guy offers him cocaine.
He's offering drugs now.
Yeah.
Okay, so this has escalated quickly.
Yeah, it went from 0 to 100 real fast. At this point, the DJ is seriously considering his escape options.
Like jumping out of the car?
Yeah, he's thinking about that. He's like
Yeah.
looking for the door handle, trying to figure out what to do.
I wouldn't blame him.
But then he thinks of a better plan. He pretends to get a phone call.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, he like answers the phone and starts acting like it's an emergency. You know, like, oh my God, what happened? I have to come right now.
And the glove guy bought it.
Yeah, he was like, oh, okay, sure, I'll let you out here. And the DJ got out of there as fast as he could.
Wow. That's some quick thinking.
Yeah, it shows how important it is to stay calm and think on your feet in those situations.
But it also makes you wonder, like, what if he hadn't thought of that? What would have happened then?
That's a good question. And it's something that's worth considering as we delve deeper into the glove guy's story, because it starts to take a darker turn from here.
Okay, well, I'm definitely intrigued and a little bit terrified. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with more on the glove guy. So before the break, we were talking about the DJ who managed to escape the glove guy by faking a phone call.
Right, that was a close one. But the next encounter from a guy we're calling Craig, this one gets really unsettling.
Okay, so Craig's story. How does this one start?
It starts the same way as the others, you know, offered a ride, presented with gloves, the whole spiel. But with Craig, there are some details that just make it so much creepier.
Like what?
Well, first of all, it was June, and this guy is wearing leather gloves.
Okay, in June, that is weird.
Yeah, I mean, who wears leather gloves in the middle of summer? It's just not, right?
It's like he's sending a message or something.
Exactly. And then there's the car. It was like overflowing with gloves.
Overflowing. Like, how many gloves are we talking?
Like piles of them. Everywhere you looked, there were gloves.
So it wasn't even like a briefcase full. It was like he was living in a glove store.
Yeah, it was that bad. And then there was the driving. Oh, man, the driving.
What was wrong with the driving?
It was erratic. Like he was speeding up, slowing down, weaving in and out of traffic.
Oh, so now Craig's like trapped in a speeding car with a glove-obsessed maniac.
Pretty much. And then it gets worse. He offers Craig that same weird-colored Coke.
Oh, yeah, the one the DJ talked about.
Yep. And of course, he insists it's not a roofie.
So that's like a pattern now.
It seems like it. And then just like with the DJ, he offers Craig cocaine.
Wow, so this guy's like a walking cliche.
I know, right? It's like something out of a bad movie. But for Craig, it was all too real.
I bet. So what did Craig do?
Well, he knew he had to get out of there, but he didn't want to provoke the guy.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what this guy is capable of?
So when the glove guy asked for his number, Craig gave him a fake one.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, but the glove guy wasn't having it. He insisted on calling the number to verify.
Oh, no. So Craig had to give him his real number.
Yeah, he had no choice.
So what happened after that? Did the glove guy leave him alone?
Not even close. For weeks after that encounter, Craig started getting calls from unknown numbers.
Like all the time?
Yeah, late at night, sometimes multiple calls a night.
Oh, God, it is so creepy.
Yeah, and it culminated in this really disturbing voicemail.
You're not going to play it, are you?
No, we're not going to subject our listeners to that.
Oh.
But trust me, it was bad.
Okay, well, I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So this is like way beyond just a weird encounter now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is harassment. This is like straight up stalking.
So this glove guy, he's not just some harmless eccentric anymore.
No, it's starting to look like there's something much darker going on here.
So out of all the people who contacted you about the glove guy, did any of them actually go to the police?
Yes, actually, there was one young man, and his story is maybe the most disturbing of all.
Okay, what happened?
Well, it followed the same pattern as the others, but with this guy, it escalated to indecent exposure.
What? While he was trying on the gloves?
Yeah, it was awful.
That is so messed up.
Yeah.
And did he report it to the police?
He did, and thankfully, because he came forward, the glove guy was actually charged.
Charged with what?
With indecent exposure, it's the only known charge against him related to this whole glove guy thing.
So at least there's that.
Hmm.
But it makes you wonder, like, how is this guy getting away with all this other stuff?
Well, legally, it's a bit of a gray area. See, he's very careful not to actually force himself on anyone.
So it's like he's exploiting those social norms where people feel obligated to be polite.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what makes it so insidious. Because people, especially men, They might not even realize they're being victimized.
So they might not think to report it, or they might feel embarrassed.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really complex situation.
Okay, so we've talked about these individual encounters with the glove guy,
Mhm.
but there was also some weird fallout from the initial podcast episode, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like the glove guy himself actually got involved.
What do you mean?
Well, he started sending messages to the podcast host. Like really unhinged stuff.
Like what kind of stuff?
Like ranting and raving about how the podcast was all wrong and how he was going to sue them and all that.
Oh, wow, so he wasn't happy about being exposed.
Not at all. And he didn't stop there. He started contacting media outlets claiming to be the owner of the podcast.
Wait, he was trying to steal your podcast?
It seems that way, like he was trying to take control of the narrative.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And what did the authorities do about that?
Well, they were pretty confused, to be honest. They didn't know what to make of it.
It's like this guy's operating in a whole other dimension.
Yeah, it's like he's playing by his own rules.
So with all this attention, all this media coverage, did the glove guy stop?
You would think so, right? But no. The encounters continued.
Really? People are still reporting this happening.
Yep, even years later. People are still getting picked up by a guy in a car overflowing with gloves, being pressured to try them on the whole 9 yards.
So even with his story being out there, he's still doing this.
It seems that way. And it's really unsettling. It makes you wonder what drives this behavior.
Yeah, like is it a fetish? Is it something more sinister?
It's hard to say for sure, but it definitely raises a lot of questions.
And it's a reminder that even in a world where everything feels like it's been documented and exposed, there are still these mysteries out there.
Absolutely. And sometimes those mysteries are a lot closer than we think.
Okay, well, this has been a truly wild ride. So what can we learn from all of this? What are the takeaways here?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is the importance of trusting your instincts.
Yeah, like if something feels off, it probably is.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to say no, to set boundaries, even if it means being rude or causing a scene.
And if something does happen, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't let shame or embarrassment silence you.
Absolutely. Your safety and your well-being are paramount.
And I think it's also important to remember that these kinds of things can happen anywhere, to anyone.
You're right. This isn't just a Halifax problem. This is a human problem.
And it's a problem that we need to talk about openly and honestly.
Exactly. We need to raise awareness. We need to challenge those social norms that allow these kinds of behaviors to persist.
And we need to create a culture where victims feel supported and empowered to come forward.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I think that's a good place to leave it for tonight. So to all our listeners out there, stay safe, stay vigilant, and keep those gloves firmly on your own hands. It's crazy to think this is still going on, you know? Like you said, it's not just a Halifax problem, it's a human problem.
Yeah, and it really makes you think about the bigger picture, doesn't it?
It does. Like we've been talking about the glove guy and how his behavior kind of exploits these social norms. But what are some of the broader implications of this case? Like what can we learn from this that might help us understand similar situations?
I think one of the most important things is to recognize that power dynamics can exist in all sorts of interactions.
Okay.
Even seemingly harmless ones.
Right. It's not always like this overt, obvious thing.
Exactly. And in the glove guy's case, he's using manipulation and this
Mhm.
sense of obligation to make his victims feel pressured.
And because it's not like outright aggression, it can be harder for victims to even realize what's happening,
Exactly. And then it becomes even harder to speak out about it.
especially for men.
Right, because there's often this sense of shame or embarrassment associated with being manipulated.
Yeah, like men are supposed to be strong and self-reliant.
Exactly. So it can be hard for them to admit that they were taken advantage of.
So it's not just about the individual encounters, it's about the whole societal context.
Exactly. We need to create a culture where men feel comfortable talking about these experiences.
Without feeling judged or ridiculed.
Right. And we need to challenge those traditional ideas about masculinity that can prevent men from seeking help.
Absolutely. It's like we need to redefine what it means to be a man.
Yeah, and part of that is recognizing that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's actually a strength.
I think that's so important. And it applies to everyone, not just men.
Absolutely. We all need to feel safe and supported to speak up about these kinds of things.
So thinking about this whole deep dive into the glove guy phenomenon, it's taken us to some pretty strange and unsettling places.
It has, and I think it's left us with more questions than answers.
Yeah, but I think it's also raised some really important questions.
About power vulnerability and the importance of speaking out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a story that I think will stay with me for a long time.
Me too. It's a reminder that even in the mundane, even in the everyday, there can be these undercurrents of something darker.
And it's a reminder to always trust your instincts.
Yeah, if something feels off, it probably is.
And don't be afraid to say no.
Or to get out of a situation that makes you uncomfortable.
Exactly. Your safety is always the priority.
So to all our listeners out there, stay vigilant, be aware of your surroundings, and trust your gut.
And if you ever find yourself in a situation like the ones we've been discussing tonight, remember you're not alone.
There are resources available,
Yep.
and there are people who care.
And most importantly, don't be afraid to speak up.
Your voice matters.
Well said. That's a perfect note to end on. So thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the Glove Guy.
It's been a wild ride.
It has. And until next time, stay safe, everyone, and keep those gloves firmly on your own hands.